The impossible arrival. The crystalline towers of the Imperial monitoring station reflected the light of 3 distant suns. Commander Zekthar watched the endless stream of data flow across his neural interface, each pulse representing another secure sector of the Empire's vast territory. For 12 cycles, nothing had breached their perfect containment protocols. The humans remained locked behind their quarantine barrier, safely isolated from civilized space. Then everything changed. "Commander," the urgent cry from sensor specialist Velnox shattered the station's calm. "Anomalous signature detected in Sector Lambda 7. Configuration matches. It cannot be." Zekthar's 4 arms moved in perfect synchronization as he accessed the primary display. The blood drained from his scaled face, turning his normally vibrant purple skin to a sickly gray. There, deep within restricted Imperial space, pulsed the unmistakable energy signature of human technology. "Confirm identification," he ordered, though his hearts already knew the answer. "Confirmed, Commander. Hull configuration matches human destroyer classification. Designation reads, U.S. Horizon's Edge." The implications crashed through Zekthar's mind like a supernova. Sector Lambda 7 lay 8,000 light-years from the quarantine zone. No human vessel should exist beyond their carefully maintained prison. Yet there it was, broadcasting its presence without any attempt at concealment. "Alert High Command," Zekthar commanded. "Priority Alpha. The humans have breached containment." Within moments, the peaceful monitoring station transformed into a hub of frantic activity. Emergency protocols activated across the Empire's communication network, carrying the impossible news to every corner of their domain. A human warship had appeared where it absolutely should not be. Supreme Admiral Krixmar received the alert in his meditation chamber aboard the flagship Eternal Dominance. The ancient warrior's 6 eyes snapped open simultaneously, each pupil dilating with alarm. In 4 centuries of service, he had never imagined this moment would come. "Assemble the War Council," he ordered his aide, "and summon the Imperial Science Division. We need answers." The holographic council chamber materialized around him, filling with the Empire's highest-ranking officials. Their forms flickered into existence one by one, each face reflecting the same mixture of disbelief and fear. Humans in Imperial space represented their worst nightmare made manifest. "How?" demanded Science Minister Jorvik, her feathered crest rippling with agitation. "Our containment field is absolute. Nothing can penetrate the quantum barriers without triggering massive alarms." "Yet a human vessel sits in Lambda 7, Krixmar stated flatly. "Either our technology has failed, or the humans have discovered something we haven't." The council chamber erupted into chaos. Voices overlapped as theories and accusations flew. Some blamed sabotage, others spoke of impossible technologies. Through it all, one question dominated: how had humanity escaped their prison? Silence. The command came from Emperor Zixthea himself, his ancient presence filling the chamber. "Admiral Krixmar, dispatch the 7th Fleet immediately. We must contain this situation before it spreads." Meanwhile, aboard the U.S. Horizon's Edge, Captain Sarah Chen studied the tactical display with serene confidence. Her crew moved with practiced efficiency, monitoring the approaching Imperial forces without a trace of panic. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned. "Imperial fleet emerging from hyperspace, Captain," reported Lieutenant Martinez. 47 vessels, including 3 dreadnoughts." Chen nodded, her dark eyes gleaming with anticipation. "Excellent. Open a channel, but maintain weapons lock. Let them see we're not defenseless." The main screen filled with Admiral Krixmar's imposing visage. His 6 eyes narrowed as he studied the human commander, searching for any sign of fear or uncertainty. He found none. "Human vessel, you have violated the containment treaty of 2387. You will surrender immediately and prepare to be escorted back to your quarantine zone." Chen's smile never wavered. "Admiral Krixmar, I presume. We've been expecting you. I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. We haven't violated anything. The quarantine exists only in your imagination. Impossible. Krixmar's scales flared crimson. The barriers are absolute. No human ship can breach them. Oh, we didn't breach them, Chen replied calmly. We went around them. Tell me, Admiral, what do you know about the Zenith civilization? The name struck the Imperial leadership like a physical blow. The Zenith were legend, an ancient race that had supposedly transcended physical space itself before vanishing into myth. Their technology was considered impossible, their very existence questioned by modern science. The Zenith are fairy tales, Krixmar growled. Stories told to young spawn. Are they? Chen's fingers danced across her command console. Then explain this. Space itself seemed to twist behind the horizon's edge. Reality bent and warped as massive structures materialized from nothingness. Ancient rings of unknown metal, each the size of a small moon, hung suspended in the void. Energy crackled between them, forming patterns that hurt to observe directly. The Zenith Gateway Network, Chen announced. 17 nodes spread across the galaxy, including one in Earth's own backyard. Your precious quarantine only covered conventional space. It never accounted for shortcuts. The Imperial fleet recoiled as sensor readings went wild. The power signatures were unlike anything in their databases, energy levels that defied their understanding of physics. If these were truly Zenith artifacts, then everything they thought they knew about the galaxy was wrong. You're lying, Science Minister Yorvik insisted from the council chamber. The Zenith left no technology behind. Their civilization ended millions of years ago. They left everything behind, Chen corrected. You just never knew where to look. While your empire focused on expansion and control, humanity spent the last century searching for answers. We found them in the quantum shadows between reality. She transmitted a data packet directly to the Imperial systems. Star charts unfolded showing gateway locations across the galaxy. Historical records revealed excavations on dead worlds. Technical specifications displayed principles of physics the Empire had never imagined. This is our gift to you, Chen continued. Knowledge freely shared. The Gateway Network connects every corner of the galaxy instantaneously. Distance becomes meaningless. Your empire's control structure, based on the limitations of conventional FTL, becomes obsolete overnight. The implications struck like hammer blows. If humanity controlled such technology, the entire balance of power shifted. The quarantine wasn't containing them. It was limiting the Empire's own understanding. Worse, the humans were offering to share this knowledge freely, undermining the very foundations of Imperial authority. But why? Emperor Zixtheta's voice cut through the chaos. Why reveal this now? You could have used it as a weapon, achieved dominance through secrecy. Chen's expression softened slightly. Because isolation serves no one, Your Majesty. The Zenith understood this. They built the network not for conquest, but for connection. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us, but only if we grow beyond fear and control. The human captain gestured toward the ancient gateways. We've spent generations studying not just their technology, but their philosophy. They believed in shared growth, in lifting all species together. That's why their network responds only to cooperative intent. It cannot be used for invasion or domination. Admiral Krixmar found himself at a crossroads he never imagined facing. His entire career had been built on the premise of human containment. Now that foundation crumbled before his eyes. The humans hadn't broken free through force or deception. They had simply transcended the Empire's limited thinking. Prove it, he demanded. Show us this network functions as you claim. Chen nodded to her communications officer. Lieutenant, activate Gateway 7. Destination, the void between. The ancient rings flared to life. Energy cascaded through their structures in patterns that seemed almost organic. Space twisted, reality folded, and suddenly the starfield beyond the gateway changed completely. Where once empty space had stretched, now hung a vista that defied description. Nebulae of impossible colors swirled around structures that couldn't exist under normal physics. Cities of light floated free in space, connected by bridges of pure energy. And moving among them were ships of designs that belonged to no known civilization. The zenith didn't die or transcend, Chen explained quietly. They simply moved to spaces between spaces, dimensions folded within our own. They've been waiting for the younger races to mature enough to join them. The Imperial leadership stood in stunned silence as message beacons activated across the gateway network. Each carried the same signal in countless languages, including pristine Imperial standard. Welcome to the next phase of galactic civilization. The barriers you've built are prisons of your own making. Step through and discover what lies beyond. As the first part of this momentous encounter drew to a close, the Empire faced a choice that would define the future of the galaxy. Everything they thought they knew about humanity, about their own superiority, and about the nature of the universe itself had been challenged in a single moment. The humans hadn't invaded or threatened. They had simply shown up and offered a hand in partnership. The question now was whether the Empire could let go of its fear long enough to grasp it. The new paradigm. The Imperial War Council remained in emergency session for 12 standard hours. Arguments raged as the traditional military leadership clashed with progressive scientists and philosophers. Through it all, the U.S. Horizon's edge held position beside the activated gateway, neither threatening nor retreating. Admiral Krixmar found himself in the unexpected position of advocate for engagement. His warrior's instincts had always served him well, but they told him this was not a battle to be won through force. The humans had changed the rules entirely. They could have conquered us already, he argued to his peers. With this technology, they could appear anywhere, strike without warning. Instead, they chose revelation over revolution. War Minister Dexkin slammed his armored fist on the council table. It's a trap. The humans seek to destroy us through guile rather than weapons. Remember their history. They are creatures of violence and chaos. Are they? The question came from historical curator Len Era, whose ancient archives held records dating back to first contact. Or is that the narrative we created to justify our fear? Every interaction with humanity has been colored by our preconceptions. Perhaps it's time to see them as they truly are. The debate raged on, but gradually, curiosity began to overcome caution. The scientific community, in particular, found themselves drawn to the implications of the Zenith technology. Quantum physics director Moltep had spent hours analyzing the gateway readings, and her findings challenged everything they thought they knew. The energy signatures are consistent with theoretical models we abandoned centuries ago, she reported. Concepts we deemed impossible because they didn't fit our understanding of reality. The humans didn't just find Zenith technology. They understood it because they never limited their thinking the way we did. Captain Chen, monitoring the deliberations through diplomatic channels, chose this moment to make another offer. Her image appeared in the council chamber, causing several members to instinctively recoil. Honored Council, she began, her tone respectful but firm. We understand your concerns. Trust isn't built in a day, especially after generations of mutual isolation. We propose a limited demonstration. Select a small team of your best scientists and explorers. Let them traverse the gateway network with us. See for themselves what lies beyond. The offer sparked fresh debate, but Emperor Zix Theta raised a webbed hand for silence. The ancient ruler had led the empire for 3 centuries, through wars and peace alike. He recognized a pivotal moment when it arrived. Captain Chen. He spoke directly to the human commander. Your offer is unexpected, but perhaps that is precisely why we should accept it. I will personally lead this expedition. Gasps echoed through the council chamber. The emperor hadn't left the capital world in over a century. For him to venture into unknown space, guided by humans no less, was unprecedented. Your Majesty, Admiral Krixmar protested. The security risks are acceptable, Zix Theta finished. If we cannot move beyond fear, We deserve the stagnation it brings. Prepare my personal transport. And Admiral, you will accompany me." 3 days later, a historic meeting took place aboard the Horizon's Edge. Emperor Zix Theta, accompanied by a small retinue of scientists and guards, stepped onto a human vessel for the first time in Imperial history. Captain Chen greeted them personally, her crew showing none of the superiority or condescension the Imperials had expected. "Welcome aboard, Your Majesty," Chen said, offering a gesture of respect from her own culture. "We're honored by your trust." The Emperor studied the human captain with ancient eyes. "Trust is perhaps too strong a word, Captain. Let us say, cautious optimism." As the mixed group made their way to the bridge, the Imperials couldn't help but notice the differences in human ship design. Where Imperial vessels emphasized intimidation and hierarchy, the Horizon's Edge felt almost organic. Crew members moved with easy efficiency, their interactions lacking the rigid formality of Imperial protocol. "Your ship is not what we expected," Admiral Kriegsmar admitted. "Because it's not a warship," Chen replied, surprising them. "Oh, it has weapons. We're not naive. But the Horizon's Edge is primarily an exploration vessel. We've spent more time mapping ancient ruins than fighting battles." The bridge itself challenged Imperial assumptions. Instead of a raised command throne, Chen's station sat among her crew, part of the whole rather than above it. Holographic displays showed not tactical readouts but archaeological surveys, linguistic analyses, and quantum calculations. "Prepare for gateway transition," Chen announced. "Our first stop, the Archive of Memories." The Zenith Gateway activated with a harmony that seemed to resonate in their very bones. Reality folded, and suddenly they were elsewhere. The view screen revealed a structure that defied comprehension. A crystalline sphere the size of a moon, its surface covered in flowing script that seemed to move and change as they watched. The Zenith left records of every civilization they encountered, Chen explained, "including yours, Your Majesty. Would you like to see your people's history through their eyes?" What followed was a journey that shattered every preconception the Imperials held. The archive contained not just data but experiences, memories preserved in quantum matrices. They witnessed the Empire's founding through alien eyes, saw their ancestors' struggles and triumphs from an outside perspective. More importantly, they saw humanity's journey, not the violent, chaotic species of Imperial propaganda, but a race that had faced its own darkness and chosen to grow beyond it. The record showed humanity's mistakes, their wars and failures, but also their relentless drive to learn and improve. "We're not perfect," Chen admitted as they viewed scenes of Earth's turbulent past. "We've made terrible mistakes, but we learned from them. That's what the Zenith saw in us. Not our achievements, but our potential for growth." The expedition continued through the Gateway Network. They'd visited the Synthesis Gardens, where extinct species were being restored through quantum reconstruction. They saw the Harmony Stations, where different civilizations worked together on projects spanning millennia. Each location revealed more of the true galactic community, one based on cooperation rather than conquest. On the 4th day, they reached the most significant destination, the Zenith Council Chamber. Here, projections of the ancient race appeared, not as conquerors or gods, but as guides and teachers. "The younger races always build barriers," one projection explained, its form shifting between states of matter. "Fear drives them to isolation, to control. But growth requires connection. The network exists to bridge not just space, but understanding." Emperor Zix Theta found himself facing a truth he had long suspected but never acknowledged. The Empire's strength had become its weakness. Their need for control had limited their growth, while humanity's chaotic nature had prepared them for the uncertainty of real exploration. "Why did you choose to reveal this to us now?" he asked Captain Chen as they stood before the Zenith projections. "Because you were ready," she replied simply. "Your young scientists question the old ways. Your people seek something more than endless expansion. The quarantine wasn't just containing us. It was constraining you. We simply provided the catalyst for change you already desired. The journey back to Imperial space was subdued. The Emperor and his retinue had seen too much to return unchanged. As they emerged from the final gateway, the Imperial fleet waited in defensive formation, but Zixthida immediately ordered them to stand down. In the days that followed, the Empire faced the most significant transformation in its history. The gateway network couldn't be controlled or monopolized. Its very nature required cooperation. Species the Empire had subjugated now had direct access to technologies that equalized power structures. But rather than chaos, something unexpected emerged. Hope. Young Imperial scientists collaborated with human researchers. Ancient feuds between subject species began to heal as the network facilitated direct communication. The rigid hierarchy that had defined the Empire for millennia adapted to a new reality. Captain Chen and Admiral Krixmar stood together on the observation deck of the Eternal Dominance, watching as the first mixed crews prepared to explore the network together. "Your people have given us a great gift," Krixmar admitted, "and a greater challenge. Change is never easy for an old empire." "Change is never easy for anyone," Chen replied. "But the alternative is stagnation." The Zenith understood that. They built the network not to create a perfect society, but to enable growth through diversity. The Admiral's scales shifted through a pattern of contemplation. "I spent my career believing humans were the enemy. Now I find myself wondering if we were our own worst enemy all along." "Maybe," Chen said with a slight smile. "But that's the beauty of growth. It's never too late to change direction. Your Emperor understood that. He took the first step. Now your people can choose their own path." As news of the transformation spread throughout the galaxy, reactions varied wildly. Some welcomed the new era of cooperation and exploration. Others clung to old fears and prejudices. But the gateways remained open, offering possibilities to any who dared to step through. The quarantine that had defined human-imperial relations for generations officially ended with a ceremony aboard the Horizon's Edge. Emperor Zixthida himself signed the dissolution decree, using an ancient zenith stylus provided by Captain Chen. "Let this mark not an ending," he declared, "but a beginning. The galaxy is vast, filled with wonders we've yet to discover. Perhaps it's time we explored it together rather than apart." The transformation wasn't immediate or without challenges. Trust built over time, through shared experiences and mutual respect. But gradually, the fear that had driven the quarantine gave way to curiosity and cooperation. Human creativity combined with imperial discipline. Ancient wisdom merged with new perspectives. 6 months after first contact through the gateways, the first truly integrated exploration fleet launched. Ships from dozens of species, including humanity and the Empire, set forth to explore the deeper mysteries the Zenith had hinted at. The galaxy, it seemed, held secrets that no single species could unlock alone. Captain Chen, now serving as humanity's ambassador to the Zenith Network Council, reflected on the journey during a quiet moment in her quarters. The path from quarantine to cooperation hadn't been what anyone expected, but perhaps that was the point. True growth came from embracing the unexpected. A message from Admiral Krixmar appeared on her console. "The deep space sensors have detected something interesting near Gateway 12. Ancient energy signatures, unlike anything in our databases. Care to investigate?" Chen smiled as she typed her reply, already prepping the Horizon's Edge. "See you at the gateway, old friend." As she headed to the bridge, she thought about how much had changed in such a short time. The empire that had once feared humanity now stood as partners in exploration. The quarantine that had separated them had given way to connections that spanned the galaxy, and in the vast spaces between stars, the zenith gateways pulsed with life, carrying the dreams and aspirations of 100 species toward a future none could fully imagine. The age of isolation was over. The age of true galactic civilization had begun, and at its heart stood the simple truth the Zenith had always known: that diversity, not dominance, was the key to growth. Fear built walls, But curiosity built bridges, and in a universe full of wonders, bridges would always triumph over walls. As the horizon's edge powered up for another journey through the Gateway Network, Captain Chen felt the same thrill she'd experienced on that first day in Sector Lambda 7. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries waiting to be solved. But now, humanity wouldn't face them alone. They had partners, friends, and even former enemies united in the greatest adventure of all, the quest to understand their place in an infinite universe. The impossible had become possible. The forbidden had become welcomed. And in the end, a simple truth emerged. Sometimes the greatest victories came not from conquest, but from connection. The Zenith had known it. Humanity had learned it. And now, the Empire embraced it. The stars awaited, and for the first time in galactic history, all species would explore them together.